Wartime Money, Part 1. I choose to start with the most easy and commonly thought of things when people talk about what special monies did we have for wartime. We think particularly of World War II. In the course of this series, I expect to be extending into some years after World War II, but principally focusing on World War II. Certainly in terms of regular circulating U.S. coins, the span only extends around the time of World War II. So let's take a look at what we got. Now, the first of the years, obviously, the United States was brought into the war officially at the end of 1941. We were already assisting some European and other places, for example, making coins for the Netherlands, but they were not unusual coins for the Netherlands. What this series is concerned with is unusual coins. Now, for the cent doesn't seem to have been in any way unusual. It would seem to have just been, let's see if I can get that looking better here. They look the same, and probably a lot of them were the same. There is a rumor, I have not been able to verify it, that some, maybe roughly half of 1942 cents, already had the tin either removed or at least very sharply reduced, since even by that point in time, tin was very much a wartime metal. So that's unverified, I don't know. However, the nickel is already doing something very interesting. The silver nickel is introduced. But not all nickels went that way. Philadelphia made some that were not silver, just ordinary nickel as it had been, and everything made by Denver was also just made out of nickel like normal. However, the Philadelphia Mint also made silver nickels, so some silver, some copper, and even 9% manganese. Very unusual combination, and what's really neat, a different mint mark. In case in the Philadelphia Mint, it even had it was large and so different, and had a letter for even Philadelphia Mint, which is not, otherwise used. That is not the first time we see P for Philadelphia on a coin made in the American Mint, because we are already putting P on some coins we're making for the Netherlands, but we'll talk about that later, but we won't be really drilling into that. And San Francisco also made nickels in this new silver wartime alloy. The idea being that nickel was a significant wartime metal. Even copper was something of a wartime metal, and tin was definitely. Well, we could eliminate any concern about tin or copper, as in 1943, the 1 cent was made out of steel with a very thin coating of zinc. They must have looked really neat when they were new like this. The only problem was they darkened very rapidly, and then the thin layer of zinc would wear away, exposing a lighter color of steel underneath that, which would also itself very slowly darken again, making a very uneven and not so very visually appealing coin. By the end of 1943, that was no longer considered acceptable. Meanwhile, this new silvery alloy, silver manganese copper alloy of the 5-cent piece had now gone to all three mints, so Philadelphia makes this beautiful coin for 5 cents. Denver makes this, Denver has joined the group of making, silver coins. Look at that, there's a D up there. And also making, San Francisco is making this silver coins. So the war drags on. Well, as I said, the zinc-coated steel didn't carry on very well. So our country had to turn to making pennies back out of copper again. The only slight tweak, and now it was official, was that last 5% would not be a 50-50 of tin and zinc, but merely zinc. As I said, I don't know if they did that or approximated that for part of 1942, but I have heard that that may have happened. At any rate, 1944, that is the recipe. And that too was specifically a wartime alloy, but just barely noticeable since we're only talking about half of the 5% of the overall weight of the entire cent. The nickel continues in silver. Alas, I don't have a very nice specimen of this particular one. But you can see it is also, this shows how the silver nickels wore very differently from the non-silver. They darkened rather significantly, rather quickly. Even though when they're brand new, they looked almost the same as the other brand new nickels. They weighed the same. You could put them in vending machines. It would work the same. 1944S, that's more representative. And then we have 1945. Again, the same tinless alloy was used for the cent. But other than that, the cent was basically indistinguishable from how it would have been in the previous years. And for that matter, once all this is over with, the cent is restored to its original alloy. You see, again, you just about have to be a metaller just to detect the difference. But the silver nickels continued into the 1945 throughout the year, even though the war was officially over. They just kept doing that for the year. And of course, the other interesting thing about this wartime era is that silver had not been used in the 5-cent coin denomination since 1873, which was the last year they made the tiny silver half dime. And once again, here's the San Francisco one. Well, this is the most familiar bit of wartime coinage. It is not, however, the sum total of all, even just the coins that the United States would be making out of special alloys to support the war, in particular World War II. In the next, we will introduce another set of coins also. Thanks.